If you're oh well, okay. Actually, we may have found Rachel's replacement. A guy named Joseph just said in the chat, Dean got cooked. Please join. Please join, Joseph. I will give you $50 if you accept that invitation to join. Please, 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 please. We're gonna move on to the next guest. We got Rye Guy loading up, and I really hope that Joseph accepts that invitation. What is that, Rye Guy? Did he vote for Trump?
I did.
All right, Mr.
I did.
Mr. Ray Guy, before we hop into our discussion real quick, I got to thank a couple people for their very kind and very generous donations. Thank you, Valentina, for the $2, Ben with a 5, Nina with a 10. Thank you so much for the love, Nina. Zoe with a 1, Hannah with a 5, and then Damon with a 10 as well. If you'd like to support me because you're enjoying what you're seeing here on the stream tonight, you can support me over in Venmo and PayPal. Both of those links are in the link tree in my bio. Speaking of, I'd also love to show some love to David for the $25 donation and TBD with the $20, and then Kenya with a 5. Thank you guys so much. Everybody, please show some love to David, TBD, and Kay. I do really appreciate you guys so much for the love. Huge shout out to the donors. Now take it away, Mr. Rye Guy. Why'd you do it? Why'd you support Trump?
Man, I just think he is a great president overall.
Cringe.
How's that cringe?
Because it's just like objectively out of alignment with reality. I don't know.
Well, more voters than not thought differently.
Actually,
am I right?
No, funny enough, you're wrong. Out of everybody that voted in the 2024 election,
he won a majority.
No, actually wrong. He won a minority.
No, you're wrong. He won a majority.
So he got 49.
Cringe.
One moment. He got 49.9% of the votes. The remainder of the 50.1% of the vote either voted for Kamala Harris or a third-party candidate. They claim that he won a majority.
He didn't vote for Kamala Harris. That means he won a majority out of the voters. That's exactly what a majority is. I think you're thinking of a plurality, and you don't know your English. You might want to look up.
Oh, shit. We've already had this discussion, haven't we?
No, I've never spoken to you.
Yes, you definitely have. I remember the last time you came up, you said that's not what a majority is. You're thinking of a plurality. And then we went back and forth on the definition of these terms for like 5 minutes. Fuck you. I'm not falling into your like unruling trap that makes no sense. That is only that it only exists to like keep Dean in the ninth circle of hell. We're gonna talk.
I've never spoken to you, and
yes, you have. I remember this discussion. We had the same discussion. Stop lying.
What are you talking about, bro? We have never spoke.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and like redescribe why you're wrong. A majority would account for the most. Okay, most would account for and then most would account for like over 50%. All right, and when we're referencing a vote, over 50% of the vote did not go to Donald Trump, but rather to Kamala Harris or a third-party candidate. Now let's get back on substance. Why do you think he was a pick?
He just had a lot of things he did in his first term that just showed that he was authorized. He was the leader of a great economy, like the lowest poverty rate that's ever happened in the United States of America. He brought us to the lowest unemployment in 50 years. He kept inflation low. We had stock markets at record high. Purchasing power was up. Blue collar workers' wages were growing at a fast rate. Like so many indicators were showing that he was doing an excellent job. COVID came in the way, and I think he deserves a chance to finish what he started.
So I'm guessing like you support Kamala Harris because it's like nearly every single indicator that you were just able to give us. It is the case that it was then beat once again by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Like, for instance, one of the indicators that you gave us there was an unemployment rate. So under his term, he had set a 50-year low, but that was beat 3 times by Biden and Harris, right?
I understand that, but you got to look at the picture as a whole. Like, not every indicator was looking good, especially. And then
also, like, I don't think that Donald Trump did anything to like reduce unemployment in America.
Yeah, for the first time since the 1990s, he was a president that actually was adding manufacturing jobs over a long period of time.
So what did he do? What did he do to reduce unemployment in America?
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, first of all, helps people out. And what he did is he also lowered the corporate tax rate. So it drove foreign investment into our country and brought reshoring of jobs into America, which was the reason why for the first time since the 90s that he was showing sustained growth in the manufacturing job market, and at the same time blue collar wages were rising.
Actually,
he was doing a little.
So we actually had a stagnation in manufacturing investment under Donald Trump's term, with an explosion under Biden and Harris's term because of policy like the Infrastructure Bill and the Chips and Science Act. And then also the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act led to no new macro level business investment. That source is coming from a Brookings study. And then just at the cherry on the top of this is the fact that it only led to a 0.04% growth year by year in the American GDP. So the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act did not reduce unemployment, nor did it grow and scale our GDP to any considerable level. And not to mention, if you care about GDP growth, obviously Donald Trump would be your worst fucking nightmare today because he's barreling America towards a recession.
No, he is preparing us for the next wave of how the global economy is prepared to be. And it's going to be a three-state global economy. There's going to be Russia, China, and America. And he is making sure that people's spheres of influence are being taken care of right now. And that's why
he's giving Russia and China more influence. You understand that, right?
No, that's what you think.
No, he's isolating us from every other country in the world and the global economy. Okay, and what happens when all of a sudden every single country in the EU, our allies, are like, fuck America. All right, we're going to start taxing their banks. We're going to restrict the US from engaging in global forms of trade. Well, then the Prime Minister of Canada is like, we're no longer friendly with them. We're boycotting their products. We're boycotting their goods. We're boycotting their manufacturers. And the entire EU is pulling investment out of American companies. Well, then all of a sudden they become more reliant on other countries outside of America because we're no longer, the leader in global commerce, which then gives a platform to countries like Russia and China to fill that empty space. So you're absolutely incorrect here.
No, I'm not incorrect. And the reason why is because they're not going to be able to cut us out. They act and play this big game because that's what they're supposed to do. But one by one, they will fall in line and they will make a deal with Daddy Trump. They all will.
Did you just call the president daddy?
Damn right I did. That's Daddy Trump right there, man. He gets
wait.
happen.
Say that Donald Trump is my daddy.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Say it. Say it. Or I'm gonna kick you.
I'm good, brother.
Say it, or I'm gonna kick you.
If you want to run away from facts and statistics, then
I'm proving your ass wrong with facts and stats. Nobody believes that.
The lowest poverty rate that's ever happened in America was under Trump. Is that not a fact?
And what year?
2019.
Nope, 2020.
No, 2000. Nope.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and prove you wrong with the facts and stacks. This is coming from FRED, the federal, it's a Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. All that you got to do is go online and type an estimated percentage of all people in all ages in poverty for the United States of America. The rate of poverty in 2019 was 12.3%. Meanwhile, the rate of poverty in 2020 was 11.9%, which was the lowest under Donald Trump's term. You also claimed that was the lowest in all of U.S. history, which is also wrong because we had a lower level of poverty in 2000 at 11.3% and a lower level of poverty in 2001 at 11.7%.
All you got to do is look it up. It's 10.5% in 2019. It's the lowest that's on record ever.
No, it's not. It was 12.3.
No, it's not. I don't know. You're using a bad source then.
Dude, FRED is possibly the most reliable source for economic data available to anybody in America.
No.
What is your source?
Let me check it out for you real quick.
You don't even have one. You don't even have a source.
It's the census.gov, buddy.
Show me where on the census.gov website
all you have to do is go
FRED.
Okay.
Census.gov levels of poverty in America over time. Let's see. Census.gov. Poverty rates by survey. What are you looking at?
You got to go to Resource Library, Income and Poverty in the United States in 2019.
I don't know. That's not even on the census website.
Yes, it is.
I'm on the resource library of the census.gov website right now, and I don't see any. Come on, it's like 3 scrolls long.
Just Google income and poverty in the United States, census.gov. Google those words.
All right, let's do that real quick. Income and poverty. There we go.
And go down to poverty.
Poverty.
Poverty rate.
Then I see poverty rates by survey.
No, it's not survey. You got to go down to poverty. The official poverty rate in 2019 was 10.5%.
Wait, but it says nothing about 2019 anywhere under the poverty page on the census.gov website. Anybody could check this out. Literally, just type in exactly what he told you on Google, and then go to the poverty website, poverty page on the resource library on census.gov. The only thing it says is poverty rates by survey, poverty rates in states with metropolitan areas 2023. What you were saying is nowhere on the poverty page of census.gov. This is once again census.gov/topics/income-poverty/poverty.html. It shows nowhere on here.
Okay, well, I got census.gov/library/publications. So we're just on different pages. I don't know. But it's definitely, I mean, anybody can Google the unemployment rate for 2019.
Wait. You think that? Wait, you're looking at
10.5%, the lowest in United States history.
Unemployment?
No, poverty rate. Poverty rate. I misspoke.
Okay, yeah, no. Because once again, the FRED, okay, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, is the most reliable source for economic data available to anybody in America.
It's not the most reliable source. The census.gov is far more reliable. I'm
so sorry. Everybody uses the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis when we're doing economic studies, surveys, etc. The Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis would indicate that the lowest level of poverty under Donald Trump's administration was in 2020 at 11.9%, and this is actually sourced. Huh. You want to know where this is?
Yeah, during the pandemic.
You want to know where this is sourced?
It's the lowest level of poverty.
Hey, motherfucker! You want to know what FRED source is?
What?
The U.S. Census Bureau.
Well, there you go. You just got to go to the U.S. Census Bureau. That's the site I'm on.
No. This is from the U.S. Census Bureau.
No, I'm on the U.S. Census Bureau website.
I typed in the identical URL you gave me, census.gov/library/publications. It says nothing about poverty rates in 2019.
Oh my gosh. How do I turn on my can you let me turn on my camera?
If you had the availability to turn it on, you'd be able to do it on its own. Once again, the only source available is from me, which is the U.S. Census Bureau, which would report the level of poverty in 2020 was 11.9%. That is sourced from the U.S. Census Bureau through the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Your only argument to contest what I'm saying is true right now is to literally say that they're wrong and that they're lying.
Just put lowest rate of poverty 2019 into Google and see what pops up. I mean, it hits you in the face to 10.5%. Ask ChatGPT or ask anything. Just Google like what I'm saying, and you will find that it's right.
Okay, all right. So I actually do see that being reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they say that in accordance with the Census Bureau. And then once again, over on the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, they'd indicate that the level of poverty in 2019 is 12.3%, which is also sourcing the U.S. Census Bureau. So who do we believe? The U.S. Census Bureau
the US Census Bureau
or the U.S. Census Bureau?
I mean, I think we believe the U.S. Census Bureau, the website itself, not another site saying it's from the U.S. Census Bureau.
No, I've complete 110% trust in the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. I have 110% trust. If I would guess, because when I'm clicking through the Bureau of Labor Statistics website and I'm seeing that they have the classification of poverty. They say see technical notes section for examples of poverty levels. That there's probably some difference in the technicalities insofar as how they would evaluate said levels. And then I'm also seeing that they are indicating another 12.3% level of poverty on the U.S. Census website. So there's probably different technicalities insofar as the calculation of poverty for all people.
My only point is that in 2019 alone, Donald Trump raised 4.2 million people out of poverty. He is somebody.
Wait, how? How did he do that?
Through his deregulation policies
what deregulation specifically?
Bro, like he made it so that there was so many permits and red tape for a new highway or a bridge. It took 7 years, and he dropped that wait time to 2 years.
Through what policy specifically?
Bro, you just have to look it up.
No, if you can't indicate to me the name of the policy, I'm so fucking sorry, man, but you're losing.
I'm not losing.
Because you're basically telling me
your whole chat room just looked up the stat that you said I've already proved you wrong on one
No, you
stat.
haven't proven me wrong. No. I was so good faith in my response, but now that you're being an asshole, I'm going to tell you that you're wrong. I was able to give you statistics from the FRED, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, which is the most reliable standard for economic data in America, polling from their source, the U.S. Census Bureau, via the. It's not my opinion. It's not my opinion. It's the federal. No, it's not my opinion. It is from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, in which pulls their data from the U.S. Census Bureau.
All right. Well, the U.S. Census Bureau itself says it's 10.5%. So
the U.S. Bureau themselves says that it is a 12.3% on the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis's website. It even gives a suggested citation here. This is actually coming specifically from the U.S. Census Bureau, estimated percent of all people in all ages in poverty for the United States.
But you understand, like the U.S. Census Bureau's website says something different than website.
This is their source is the Census Bureau. Once again, this is a report by the Census Bureau titled "Estimated Percent of People of All." No. I'm giving you the very specific source. The source from the U.S. Census Bureau to indicate that I'm right is titled "The Estimated Percent of All People of All Ages in Poverty for the United States." However, their source is from April 4th, 2025. The only source that I could find to indicate what you're saying...
Which is today's date.
April 4th, 2025. So it's updated today. They update it daily. And the only source I could find from what you are saying is, let's see here, from 2019. So what is likely is that at some point in the last 5 to 6 years, there's been revisions in unemployment/poverty data in the year of 2019 that has led the U.S. Census Bureau to moving from a 10.5% level of poverty to a 12.3% level of poverty. Okay? That is the most likely scenario. You gave me a source from 2019. I'm giving you a source from 2025. Both sources are the U.S. Census Bureau. What are we going to trust more? The older information or the newer information? By the way, anybody's feel free to fact check me. All you got to do is type in FRED, estimated percent of people of all ages in poverty for the United States. Scroll down to their notes where they give you their notes and they indicate that this is from the U.S. Census Bureau, estimated percent of people of all ages in poverty for United States, and the source was from this year. So what should we trust more? Data from this year or data from 6 years ago?
Okay, so that's not updated from right now. Like, that's just today's date. They didn't come in and update it today with updated, like, come on.
Are you going to answer my question?
I'm going to trust the Bureau of Labor Statistics' own website. Like, that's what I'm going to trust. The one that says .gov behind it.
But that's from 2021.
That's okay. The data doesn't change after that for it.
Actually, revisions happen in government data as would apply to the economy all the time.
Okay.
I'm literally trying to be so good faith with you. Let me just calm myself down. Let's just have a legitimate conversation, okay? So I'm pulling data from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, and their source is the United States Census Bureau, right? The Federal Bank Reserve of St. Louis doesn't lie. I'm just going to make that clear. They are one of the most reputable institutions of finance in America. Disputing the validity of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis because you're a Republican and it doesn't agree with the narrative that you're spewing is brain rot. Okay? But I will say, I'm actually not going to shit on you for what you're saying right now, because you do have a legitimate source from the Bureau of Labor Statistics pulling data from the U.S. Census Bureau to indicate that I'm wrong. So I actually don't I don't hold it to you. I don't shit on you. I'm not mad at you at all for arguing that I'm wrong, because you do legitimately have data from the U.S. Census Bureau, a .gov agency that says something other than what I'm saying. But I think the resolution to this issue is to recognize and understand that the data you are reporting from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is from 2021. The data that I'm reporting from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis is not from 2021. In fact, they have levels of poverty for every year up until 2024. The data that you're providing is simply outdated. And if you could just say, hey, Dean, what you're saying makes sense. I wasn't wrong, but after further clarification, I see what you mean. I think that would be the best resolution.
Brother, I see where you're coming from, and I want to look into it more because it just doesn't make sense that during the pandemic, that's when we had the lowest rate of poverty. And if that's the reason, it has to have something to do with the stimulus checks.
Yeah,
I
sure, I'm fine
mean,
with that.
so I'm very peculiar about the methodology of how they came to that. But
Well, if we're acting in good faith, they didn't apply any of their own methodology on. They're just reporting what the Census Bureau as detailed at a later date. The most likely outcome is just that the data was revised and we're both technically right. I'm not even gonna tell you that you're wrong. We're both technically right, but we just have to both understand the fact that the data was probably revised.
right.
Right? And the only reason why you were saying that the older data is more reliable than the newer data from the same source is probably because of a form of confirmation bias, which we all have.
I mean, yeah, it's possible. I'm not gonna until I look into it more. I agree that we're both right.
Okay, all right, man. Well, I know that you've popped up here a lot. I'm gonna move on to the next guest. But I do appreciate you so much for your time.
Yes, sir. You too. Have a good one.
We're gonna move on to the next guest. That's when like a rock meets an immovable object. Yeah, I've never had that happen before. That was new. That was very new. All right, we're gonna move on to the next guest. Everyone, just go ahead and give us a minute. If you're watching the live over on TikTok and you voted for Trump, go ahead and spam MAGA down below in that chat. Bro, no way! There's people in the chat spamming Dean got cooked. Fuck you guys, dude. You were actual rage baiters. No, I gotta talk to one of these rage baiters real quick. Are you rage baiting, Sam? You just said that Dean lost in the chat. You're rage baiting, right?
Yeah, can you eat another pup cup on stream, please?
You're the person. It is people like you that spam Dean got cooked in my chat.
I need you to eat a pup cup, please, man.
I can't do it. All right, we're gonna move on to the next guest. Everyone just gotta give us one moment. We're gonna get that next guest up in here. Another person saying Dean got cooked. We're gonna invite them up. Here we go. Oh my God, Ryan! Thank you so much for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Actually, Ryan offers another explanation why we disagreed. And I was actually looking for this because I felt like there was one. The 10.5% figure is using the OPM, official poverty measure. Meanwhile, the 12.3% was using the SPM, the supplemental poverty measure. The SPM takes into account more factors like taxes and non-cash benefits. Understandable. I mean, like that actually makes a lot of sense. Turned out to be a very nuanced disagreement. If you are in the live and you voted for Trump, go ahead and hop in that queue. Or spam Maggie down below in that chat. We'll get you up here. Somebody named Young Sheldon is in that queue. Let's see if we could debate Young Sheldon real quick. And then also, Chloe, thank you for the motorcycle. And James with the $20 super chat over on YouTube. James says, I wasn't around for the tariff coverage, but I saw the Minecraft movie last night and it was dope. Please watch it. I'm actually going to go watch that tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. One of my girlfriend's coworkers bought me and her tickets like 4 months ago. Braden, wait, I already thanked Braden. I swear to God, I saw a $100 donation in here, but it disappeared. Oh, there it is. Chance! Thank you so much for the $100 donation over on YouTube Super Chat saying W Dean holding down the fort for Parker. Oh, we're going to be here all day, baby. Thank you so much for the $100 donation. That is literally insane. I do not deserve that at all. Let's get at least 1,000 Chance W's down below in that live chat. Thank you so much for the love, Chance. That is so incredibly kind. Thank you a billion times over. And then also Kelvin with the $25 and the 52 cents. Thank you so much, Kelvin. Then A with the $5 on Venmo. And Lisa with the $40 over on Venmo. Oh my God, Lisa. 1,000 Chance W's, 1,000 Lisa W's as well. Lisa says, thank you for doing what you do and taking the time to educate yourself and others on the important facts. Thank you so much, Lisa. And then also Taylor with the $5 over on PayPal. Thank you, Taylor. But anyways, Young Sheldon, do you support Trump?
I love you.
Okay, well, I guess I appreciate you for being patient. Patient fetus, self-controlled fetus. Go ahead and drop a MAGA down below in that chat if you do want to join up, everyone. Go ahead and drop a MAGA down below in that chat if you do want to join up. All right, we got Anthony loading into the box as we speak. Go ahead and just give us one moment, you guys. Go ahead and just give us one moment, you guys. Still looking for that next guest, everybody. We got user loading up. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of people spamming MAGA down below in the chat. Yeah, wow. I actually don't see anybody dropping a MAGA down below in that chat. Where's all the Trump supporters at? All right, I guess in the meantime, you guys make sure that we're double tapping on that phone screen. And Brandon, thank you so much for the Galaxy. That's so kind. And if you're watching and you'd like to support, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in the bio over here on TikTok or in the pinned message on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, I'd first consider supporting over Venmo and PayPal before Super Chat. I learned last night that Super Chat actually takes 30 to 60% of all revenue from the Super Chats. Meanwhile, nobody takes anything from me apart from the tax man on Venmo and PayPal. So that's the way to go. What's up, Lucas? Did you vote for Trump? All right, well, Lucas just automatically dropped. Holy crap. Okay, yeah, we kind of ran off all the Trump supporters. Damn, I'm still thinking about that last guess. What a crazy disagreement. What a crazy debate. I mean, I honestly, like, my honest response to that last conversation, and, like, I'm trying to say this in good faith. I know that everyone's going to be like, DNL in the chat. I need to humble myself a little bit more in these conversations. Because, like, it's possible for there to be a more nuanced disagreement like that. You know, like, I just saw the data that was shared on the Fred website, and I was like, okay, well, this is definitely true. So anything that differs with the data as presented by Fred is definitely wrong. But I think that I need to be more skeptical of even more intricate nuance than I already am, because there was like nuance that I was just belligerently denying the potentiality of existing when making my claim originally, that I should have been more aware of. So I think I learned a pretty important lesson there. We're going to move on to the next guest, you guys. Just go ahead and drop a MAGA down below in that chat if you want to join. See Ethan spamming MAGA. Let's try to get Ethan up here. Yo, Jackson, thank you so much for the $35 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Jackson. That is so incredibly kind of you. Everybody, please show some love to Jackson down below in that queue while we're getting our next guest up in here, you guys. That's so incredibly kind. Thank you so much, Jackson. That is seriously so incredibly kind. Thank you so much. And then Andrew, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo as well. Thank you, Andrew. I do really appreciate that. Still trying to get that next guest. I'm only seeing like the same 5 people spamming MAGA in the chat. I think it's hilarious. Out of 9.5 thousand humans, there's only like 5 of them spamming MAGA in the chat. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Somebody's name is Dean Needs Braces, and then their picture is a picture of the Confederate flag. I'm just not even gonna let them up. I mean, that is fucked up, man. I'm not even talking about the claim that I need braces. That claim's true. But I feel like that in tangent with their Confederate flag profile picture, a little too off the deep end for me. So let's get that next guest up here. Hey, what is going on, Michael? Did you vote for Trump? Michael?
Yes, I did.
You are about 10 years away from your phone?
Oh wow! I didn't expect you to pick me.
I picked you.
Wow! Thank you.
Of course. So why do you support Mr. Liberation?
I'm friends with one of your buddies.
Okay. Why'd you vote for Trump?
Do you know? Do you know Parker?
Oh. Hey, Michael, feel free to hop back in that queue. I thought that you were about to like drop the name of like an IRL friend, so I kicked you before you could. But of course I do know Parker, and that is a public friendship because he's another content creator in the space. Feel free to re-request and I'll get you up here. I honestly just kicked you because I didn't want you to like name drop like the name of like an IRL friend. But turns out, you know, you're just talking about Parker. That would have been good to start with. Hop back in that queue, Michael. We'll get you up here. Also, everybody in that chat saying add. Oh, there he is. He's back. Add K Scott. I don't see K Scott anywhere, you guys. You're talking about like Parker get a job, right?
Yeah.
So I do know Parker. Parker's like my best friend.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're friends with him.
No, we're not friends, but we know each other.
Very nice, Michael. So why do you support Trump?
Okay. Well, my biggest when I started supporting Trump was October 7th, 2003 or 2023.
Okay.
Because
2023.
my family is Jewish.
Okay.
So when when there was an attack on a music festival and there was hostages taken. It was a big incident.
Okay. So do you support Trump Gaza?
Yes.
Okay, so how can you possibly non-hypocritically shit on October 7th if you're going to turn around and say that you support the ethnic cleansing of 2.1 million people?
Well, I wouldn't support that, but because they took so many hostages, and because or H's, I shouldn't say hostages, H's, because they took so many H's.
The 2.1 million Palestinians living on the Gaza Strip didn't do that.
I know, but it was the culture that did it.
The culture that did it?
Yes.
Was it like the culture of America that's been giving the Middle East so many problems for like the last 50 years? Therefore, we deserve 9/11?
Do you care what I say? Can I express my opinion?
Yeah, go for it. I'm just curious on how you're gonna somehow justify forcefully expunging and ethnically cleansing like children because Hamas has taken some hostages.
Exactly. I would never do that. I'm a Christian.
So then you don't support Trump Gaza?
Well, I'm a Christian, but since that date and since those actions, I've
Wait, you're a Christian? So you're a Christian that not only supports the ethnic cleansing of 2.1 million humans of the same ethnicity as your God, but you also support building 50-foot golden statues of Donald Trump in the birthplace of Jesus Christ. Really?
I live in Florida. I'm all for hospitality.
And
I'm
earlier you said that I don't. What the fuck? How did that respond to what I? What the hell? What the hell? Dude, what the fuck? Wait, what the fuck? Wait, I'm so confused. I've never heard such a crazy pivot before. We just need to take a second. People pivot all the time. Okay, we know this. Pivots always happen, but I think that one takes the cake. I've never heard a crazier pivot before. I was asking why you support building 50-foot statues of Trump in Jesus' birthplace as a Christian, and you're like, you live in Florida, you support hospitality.
Well, I'm a hospitality major. That was my college major.
What does this have to do with the question that I asked you, sir?
Well, it's not about supporting one person or another person. It's about creating a safe environment for everybody and the most hospitable environment for people.
1 second, I just got a PayPal. So you debated Parker.
Yes.
1 second, let me read this PayPal real quick. This guy had a viral clip where Parker was answering yes to every question and being insane. So apparently, you're just nuts. Who'd you rather vote for, Putin or Kamala Harris?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
It was Vladimir Putin is the president of Russia.
So if Putin was an American, would you rather vote and support Putin or Kamala Harris?
I supported the Republican Party.
So if Putin ran as a Republican and Kamala Harris ran as a Democrat, who would you have voted for?
I mean, if those were the options, I would. Do I have to express my opinion, or are you gonna?
Who would you vote for?
I told you I supported the Republican Party.
So you'd vote for Putin?
I didn't vote this election. I voted.
Answer the question. If Putin ran as a Republican and Kamala Harris ran as a Democrat, who'd you vote for?
I mean, I would have to see their platform.
Okay, Kamala Harris ran on the platform she ran on in 2024, and Putin is running on the platform that he has ran Russia on for the last 20 years. Who are you voting for?
Honestly, I couldn't vote for Kamala Harris. I couldn't.
So you'd vote for Putin?
If he were an American Republican, I probably would have voted for him. You know,
Hitler or Kamala Harris?
this is the this was the question that Parker, you know, asked me about. You know, he kept
Really?
asking.
Parker also reasoned his way to this question?
Well,
Wow.
this is
I need to call Parker and say that great minds think alike. Answer the question.
well, Parker. You know what Parker did?
Hey, Hitler or Harris?
He rage baited me a bunch, and then he recorded me, and then he put me on his YouTube.
Sir, Hitler or Harris?
This I can't even say those words, you know, because of what you know, you I told you that my family was Jewish.
Which should make the answer to my question even easier.
What do you know what Parker got me on that got my account suspended for
I'm
me?
not interested in hearing that until you answer my question.
Well, I
Mustache Man
said
or
that
Harris?
I said that, you know, the National Socialist.
I just Mustache Man or Harris?
I'm not gonna answer that because that got me suspended. It got me suspended for a week.
You have to answer the question.
If the Mustache Man were a Republican and I didn't think he was gonna do those evil things, I probably would.
Just if Hitler were to have been an American in 1945, would you?
Well,
have
let's
voted
say
for
he
him
ran
or
on.
Harris?
Let's say the Mustache Man ran on his platform of national socialism, right?
Just Hitler or Harris?
I would probably vote for the Mustache Man.
Lord, if you hear me, God, I'm an atheist.
Right.
And right now I'm considering praying to fucking God that you're trolling.
I'm not. I'm being honest.
We are doomed. We are so fucking doomed.
But
I have so little hope in America,
right?
Because of people like you.
Okay, that's
Why
fine.
would you support Mustache Man over Kamala Harris?
Because I believe in America.
And what American values does Mustache Man embody?
Well, what his actions could never be, happen in America.
Genocide can never happen in America? America was founded on the genocide of indigenous individuals.
I know, but those indigenous individuals had to give their land up in order for Americans to exist.
So your claim that genocide would never happen in America is wrong because genocide was necessary for America to exist.
Exactly, because we had to fight the indigenous.
Wait! Are you saying this was a good thing? Because I'm saying this is a bad thing.
Well, we're founded on militaristic principles
of genocide.
Yes.
Is that good or bad?
As a Christian, I do my best.
Is that good or bad?
I try to be the best Christian I can be.
Answer my question. Should the colonizers have genocided indigenous Americans?
I would have supported them. If I were
the colonizers?
The 300 years ago, if I were living then, I would support them.
The colonizers?
Yes.
Why?
Because we had to contend with indigenous and we had to contend with the British, which were even bigger genociders, and we had to understand that in order to survive.
If the live gets taken down, I'll be live on YouTube. We're gonna move on to the next guest. What's up, Kaylin? Did you vote for Trump? Are you driving? Are you driving?
Yeah, I was.
Are you right now?
No, I'm hurt.
Okay, phenomenal. All right, well, let's go ahead and hop into a conversation. Before we do, I have a couple people to thank real quick. Joe, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Lindsay with a 5. And then Jackson, oh my God, with the $50 on Venmo. Everybody, 500W Jacksons. Thank you so much for the $50. Holy crap. Jackson says, abort. This guy's absolutely insane. I repeat, abort. Yeah, we just kicked him, bro. And then also Jackson with another $35 as well, dude. Huge W's for Jackson. At least 1,000 W's for Jackson for the $85. Thank you so much over on Venmo. You are phenomenal, Jackson. Thank you so much for the love. That guy was insane. And then also Angel with a $1 on PayPal. And then Danny with a $50 on PayPal. Oh my God, Danny, dude. 500 W Danny's, 1,000 W Jacksons. You are so incredibly kind, you guys. I do not deserve that much love. And then also Traceless with a $10, Tobias with a 5, Rudy with a 5. And then Brandon with a 10 as well. This guy's full of it. Traceless says this is the most out-of-pocket guest I think we've ever had on your channel, dude. Yeah, man, we just got him out of there, man. Oh, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Like, as soon as, like, I'm just gagged and I don't even know what to say to a guest because of how crazy the shit is that they're saying, we just kick them off because there's nothing productive or good about that conversation anymore. But anyways, Kaylee, go ahead and tell us why you support Mr. Liberation Day, making your life worse, my life worse, and the life of every other American worse.
Okay, I feel like support is a strong word. It's more like I felt like this election I was voting for two evils. I wasn't really like, I'm an independent, not a Republican. So like I felt kind of.
So why do you think that like Donald Trump will make a better president than Harris?
I don't know. I just I didn't like how life was, I guess, under Biden's administration, and I didn't feel like Kamala's was going to be much better. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Do you still think that? Like, in retrospect, would you still have voted for Trump? Do you enjoy what his administration's doing so far? In retrospect,
I probably wouldn't have voted at all.
Okay. James, thank you for the $10 over on PayPal, but we do understand that at the end of the day, it did come down to Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, so you should have voted for Kamala Harris. I mean, she had tax policy that's going to benefit you. I mean, Donald Trump's economic policy is just destroying America. I mean, there's a really easy place to start.
Yeah. To be fair, like looking at it, I thought it was going to be way better than what it's looking like at the moment. I had higher hopes.
I mean, to be fair, man, and you know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I've been right about everything the Trump administration has done since before the election. I've been right about his economic policy months before the outcome of November 5th. I've been on live talking about the terrible, drastic implications of his plans to implement blanket tariffs before it was an official plan of his administration's and only just a leaked conversation he had at the dinner table with his advisors. Okay? There was enough information available to every single American to indicate that Donald Trump would be doing exactly what he's doing right now in August of last year. And the reason I know that is because it was available to me.
I honestly I didn't really get to see much of like Kamala's, or how do you pronounce her name again?
Kamala.
I don't want to pronounce it wrong.
I appreciate I appreciate you for that. That's awesome. By the way, your mic connected to your car. Do you mind disconnecting your Bluetooth?
Yeah. Also with the last guest, that was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That was wild. And I would vote for Kamala before fucking Hitler. Well, that is insane.
Hey, if you regret your vote for Trump and you're just kind of at this position where, I mean, you were just kind of susceptible to propaganda about Kamala Harris, I'd honestly just like recognize I'd recommend watching the live. Like I could bring up other people and debate with them about why they still stand behind a vote for Trump, and maybe Kamala Harris will pop up. But I feel like the best place for you to be is just watch and listen in, you know?
Yeah.
Unless you have anything that you want to debate about.
I mean, I don't know if there is. I mean, like most of it, certainly more economically right, but like more morally left, if that makes sense.
I used to think that about myself. Turns out I was just misinformed. Like, what are the economics of the right? Tell me why you describe yourself as fiscally conservative.
I hate the word conservative versus Republican. Conservative feels more like religious.
Fiscally right. Why do you consider yourself fiscally right?
I don't know. It's just typically under, it seems like a Republican president, it's just been like cheaper typically to live. So,
I mean,
does
since
that make sense?
the Cold War, we've actually had significantly better outcomes from Democrat presidents. Not to mention that like 15 of the last 16 recessions were under Republicans.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I don't blame you for that. I only learned this like in the last couple months.
I'll keep that. I'll definitely do more like research on stuff, but that's like the main reason is I've just seen like stuff be a little bit more cheaper, I guess, under Republican presidents than with um, Democratic presidents.
Man, do some research. I swear. I like when I was in high school and I started to bleed more towards the left. I think in my senior year, I got myself to a point where I labeled myself as socially liberal and fiscally conservative. And I was like pretty like strong in that position. And I thought that that was just like the absolute most base perspective to hold. But then I learned like the left is just better for the economy, man. And a lot of the reason why you consider yourself to be fiscally conservative is propaganda. Like I remember like one reason I think I considered myself fiscally conservative is because I didn't like government overspending. Well, turns out that Republicans spend more than Democrats. Another reason I considered myself to be fiscally conservative is because I wanted to pay less in taxes. Well, unless I am a member of the top 3 to 1% of earners in America, right? The Democrats want to cut your taxes more than the Republicans. Like Donald Trump's economic policy actually decreases the effective purchasing power of anybody outside of the top 3%. And then like even about inflation, I mean, like his tariffs are going to make you, me, and every other American pay significantly more for the bare necessities to live.
Yeah,
Now,
I realized that.
yeah, and
It's like, so my job, we just got a whole email about the tariffs raising prices on everything.
at your job, yeah, I know. Like this is going to impact you personally, man. It's going to impact everybody personally. Like this personally impacts every American. Like even honestly, the business owners, and that's why I really hope that we start seeing a huge revolt from even the rich on Trump, because although they may be cutting, Trump is cutting their taxes. Like dude, $3 trillion were wiped out of the market evaluations of business owners yesterday. Okay, right? So I mean, I'm really hoping that even the business owners turn on Trump, because then we'll have institutional power and a shit ton of money behind anti-MAGA movements. But hey, man, I actually appreciate you, Kaylee. You're a pretty decent guest, and I hope that you keep learning.
Yeah. I think another reason is farming. I come from a farming family, so that might be better for them. And I come from a very small Republican town.
Yeah, so do I, man.
I feel like that's also kind of leaned more with my vote because everyone else is like screaming at me to vote that way.
Trump is worse than farmers. I mean, like, I don't know what your family produces, but soybean farmers went bankrupt under Donald Trump's first administration because they're reliant on exports. A lot of farmers are kind of reliant on exports. And I mean, those farmers are just going under. Yeah, but hey, man, I appreciate you for coming up, Kaylee, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day.
No, you too.
Yeah, all right, we're going to move on. Honestly, pretty nice conversation. Pretty nice conversation. All right, we're gonna go to move on to the next guest. Before we do, I'd like to thank Angela for the $35 donation over at PayPal. Thank you so much for the love, Angela. Everybody, please show some love to Angela while we're getting the next guest up in the box. Oh my God, thank you, Angela. Angela says, "Love how you don't bait but educate." I mean, it depends on the guest. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, like I could be a little bit sassy and probably say things that aren't as productive as it could be. But I think it really just depends on the guest. You know what I mean? Like I give the same energy that I get. And like, you know, the energy from people like the last guest is actually quite kind. And, you know, I could kind of give off that same kind energy. But thank you so much for the love, Angela. And then Justin, thank you for the $5 over on PayPal as well. And then James, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal. And then Y with the $15 over on PayPal. Thank you, Y. Y says, "Thanks for putting up with so much bullshit. I've watched so many of your lives. I appreciate everything that you do. Thank you so much." And then Joe with the $10 on Venmo. Haley with a 5. Keep in mind also, guys, continue to spam MAGA in that chat if you want to come up and debate. And then Jackson with the $60 on Venmo, saying, "Because why the hell not?" Dude, Jackson, that is so kind of you. Can we please get 600 W Jacksons down below in that live chat? I mean, seriously, that is so kind. And then also Mew Mew with a $50 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you so much for the love, Mew Mew. And Sid with a $100 super chat on YouTube. Sid and Mew Mew. Everybody show some love to Sid and Mew Mew. Sid says, "Yay, my favorite show is on. You know it every day. I love you, Sid. Diva Sid's in the building. Thank you for the love, Sid." And Mew Mew says, Hearing that previous guy saying that he's trying to be the best Christian, as myself as a Christian, he's putting Jesus into shame. Yeah, the alt-right has hijacked Christianity and definitely puts a bad look on it. That's why I wish there was more rational Christians that gave that alt-right a huge pushback. Thank you so much for the $50, Mimi. What is up, Scott? Do you support Trump?
Hey, what's up, man?
How old are you?
18.
Phenomenal. Do you support Trump?
Man, can I say something?
I'm gonna go to assume not. Moving on to the
No,
next
wait,
guest.
hold up.
No,
Wait, I'm
sorry.
not gonna...
I know. I'm sorry. We're gonna move on. Everyone, just give us a moment. We got the next guest loaded up in the box. Somebody in the chat said MAGA, 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 and then the bio is the Democrat girl from Amsterdam. Stop trolling, bro. Stop trolling. We're gonna go to get that next guest up in here. We'll get paid. We'll get paid and Looper up here. Then also Julia, thank you for the $15 on Venmo. Julia says, "Hi Dean, been a supporter since 2023." Holy shit, dude, that's awesome, Julia. Thank you. Julia also says, "You inspire me to stand up to misogyny." Like yesterday, I debated my MAGA father. Good shit, Julia. Everybody, show some love to Julia for that awesomeness in that chat. Thank you so much. And then also, if you're watching and you want to support me or just kind of get a message across, my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio, I read all of the messages. And I try to read all of them on stream. Sometimes I will miss a few, but I do. That is one way that you can support me to keep the stream running. Thank you guys so much. Same thing for the people over on YouTube. The Venmo and the PayPal are in the pinned message. You can also technically support me on Super Chat, but I did learn last night that YouTube takes 30 to 60% of every transaction. Meanwhile, nobody takes nothing from my PayPals and Venmos apart from the tax man. So, yeah. Anyways, what's up, Payne? Do you support Trump?
So I would say partially support Trump.
Did you vote for him?
Not fully. There's some things I agree with. Some things I disagree with.
Do you think that he'd make a better president than Kamala Harris? Like, if Kamala Harris was president right now, do you think that we'd have better outcomes for America or worse outcomes for America?
I think that America will be better with Trump.
All right, why is that?
I don't really think Kamala did much as the vice president at all.
Do you mind if I give you pushback on that?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, actually, let me first understand why you say that. Why do you say that?
Well, because of the border crosses, of course, where she was the borders are. That's one thing.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Can you name one thing that Mike Pence did as Trump's vice president?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Can you name one thing that Mike Pence did as Trump's vice president?
No, that was back in.
Can you name one thing that Biden did as Obama's vice president?
No.
One thing that Cheney did as Bush's vice president?
No, I cannot.
What about Al Gore to Clinton?
No.
What about any vice president in American history?
You got me with that. You're right.
So just because you can't think of something Kamala Harris has done doesn't mean that she hasn't done anything. It's just the simple fact that typically any successes of the vice president is more so attributed to the administration as a whole, if you even hear about it in the first place. So we don't really know things that individual vice presidents do. But if you're curious, she was very effective as vice president of America under the Biden-Harris administration. She passed more tie-breaking votes in the Senate than any other vice president in American history, and she helped pass some of the most monumental legislation in modern U.S. history, such as the PACT Act, the Chips and Science Act, the Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, or the American Rescue Plan. So I think she was pretty good. And I guess you also brought up the border there. So her delegated tasks to the border by Biden was not to fix the policy for entry, but to rather work with countries in southern Latin America to fix socioeconomic conditions that were causing people to migrate to America. And she did so pretty successfully. I mean, she reduced migration from Guatemala by upwards of 50%. So I guess, yeah, there's my response.
Yeah. I was also going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Kamala thrown into the presidency race with like 70 days before the election?
Well, first,
would you disagree with
Kamala,
me?
And then second, I think it was like maybe 100, 110.
Kamala?
There you go.
I'm from the South. My accent's kind of strong.
Well,
but anyway.
You could do it. I trust you. If you can't pronounce Kamala, feel free to just call her Harris.
Harris, okay.
There you go.
But anyways, would you disagree with me that the Democratic Party could have chose a better candidate than her?
Actually, no, I don't. I don't think that. The only reason I don't think that was because she was like the current VP and she had the funding behind like Biden's treasure box of close to $350 million in funding, and then the notoriety as being a current administrator on the administration. But maybe pragmatically speaking, there might have been a better option just because people baselessly associated her in her incumbency as being responsible for inflation as a result of the pandemic, when in all reality, her nor Biden caused that in the slightest. But I mean, overwhelmingly, regardless of what my thoughts would be on who should have ran as the Democrat nominee, I do think that she was significantly better than Trump.
All right. So I think the things that I do agree with Trump for, number one, he's stated that he's wanting to fight the amount of debt our country's in.
I don't think that like wiping $3 trillion out of the stock market and imposing tariffs on every other country, isolating America from global commerce, and then passing tax policy that disproportionately benefits the ultra wealthy, spending over $4 trillion, in which we know will reap a very small return for increased government revenues, which was proven via the first time he implemented it, is a good strategy for reducing wasteful expenditure at all. I obviously know that you're referring to Doge. Although Doge may apply downward pressure on government expenditure, he just simply applies more upward pressure than they apply downward pressure.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't our country been producing $4 trillion in revenue, but spending $6 trillion?
You're asking
Or
if our
debt
government.
every single year, $2 trillion.
You're asking if our government likes to spend more money than it has. The answer is
No,
yes.
it's isn't it proven that we have? Like last year alone, we spent $6 trillion,
Our
but only
government-
gained $4 trillion in our GDP.
Our government loves to spend money that it doesn't have.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying
I'm not so sure about like the deficit for last year though.
well, that's why I'm saying that the idea and what Doge is wanting to do, I think cutting down on bad, corrupt government spending is a good thing.
Then you should have
Do I
voted for
believe
Kamala
that?
Harris. Because although she didn't have Doge, still yet she had less wasteful expenditure than Donald Trump's administration, factoring Doge into account. All laid out to you with just one policy. Tax policy of Trump's estimated to cost anywhere between $4.5 and $8.4 trillion by the Congressional Budget Office. Okay, this was confirmed on the debate stage by JD Vance. Okay, Elon Musk says the most Doge could ever cut is $2 trillion. This means if they cut the most they could at $2 trillion, and then Trump comes in and passes those tax cuts, he's still in the red anywhere from $2.5 to $6.4 trillion. By the way, $6.4 trillion is more money than what was spent by the Biden-Harris administration in the entirety of their 4 years. Okay? Right? And significantly more than every single proposed piece of legislation by Kamala Harris for her 4 years, because she didn't have COVID expenditure.
Okay. Also, I was going to say, I do, with trans rights and stuff like that, I think.
Oh, we can't talk about TSUs on the live. TikTok will take us down for it, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Unfortunately. By the way, Joseph, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. And then Jared with a 5, and Eden with a 1, and Haley with a 5. And by the way, I will read all of your guys' messages. I did just see those. Thank you so much.
Sorry for mentioning about that. I did not know TikTok would.
No
Would
worries.
ban
A lot of
or
people
whatever
do.
for
And
that.
I just have two more donations to thank. Saturn, thank you for the $10 on PayPal, saying thanks for all that you do. Thank you so much for the kind message and the $10. And then Jim Jay with the $18.50 over on PayPal. Thank you so much for the love, Jay. Jay says, love from the UK. Thank you so much for the love, Jay. Well, do you have any other reasons why you support Donald Trump?
Yes, one more thing. He's wanting to abolish income tax on households that make less than 150 grand a year.
Okay. So here's the deal. If Donald Trump passed that policy, I'm going to be as non-biased and objective as possible. That would be one of the best policies passed through Congress in modern American history.
Exactly.
Okay?
And that's what he's wanting to do.
But it's not. Donald Trump has unfortunately stood in front of a mic at a podium and called on Congress to do a lot of crazy shit that's never going to happen. You know, he also stood in front of a podium and just straight up told them to abolish income tax as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Is that going to happen?
Probably not. No.
No,
I just
neither
think-
is cutting taxes for anybody making under $150,000 per year. The main reason I say that is just because it wasn't factored into account in the House Republicans' budget bill. that tried to make room for his tax cuts. It's just not going to happen. But listen, if it does happen, I will be honest and I will label that as one of the best policies passed through Congress in modern American history. But it's not going to happen.
Well, I hope it does. It probably won't, but I hope it does
Me
because he
too.
said
I hope
he
it does
wants
too.
that to happen. But
I
even
hope
if
it
he
does too.
doesn't fully abolish it, even if he reduces income tax, I still think that would be great as well.
Well, see, the policy that we know he's actually proposed that he does want to do only reduces effective taxes for anybody making over $395,000 per year. And this is coming from the Institute on Taxation and Economics. And what this means for people like you and I that aren't super fucking wealthy is that we pay more in effective tax rates because of the reduction in our purchasing power caused by an increase in the pricing of goods that we buy every day because of his blanket tariffs on all other countries in the world. So although like he's propped up this sentiment that he wants to fight for the average American, fight for the working class, fight for blue collar workers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it's just simply not resembled within the policy that he's already passing and that he wants to pass moving forward. And I mean, he kind of makes these false promises all the time. He didn't just do it when he said, I want to abolish the IRS. I want to abolish taxes for anybody making under $150,000 per year, but also within the Doge checks. I mean, he continues to kind of just lie to the Americans to get our support with no intention to ever pull through on what he says. And that's why he's been such a successful politician, was because he was the first one to figure this out. You could just lie. A lot of people are going to hate you for it because a lot of people are smart, unbiased, and objective. But a lot of people are also going to love you for it. You're going to be their new father. And all of a sudden, you have a cult of support that could prop you up into such high-ranking positions of power, including the presidency. And I feel like that's kind of what he's been doing since 2015.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that. Like I said earlier, there's things that I agree with and totally disagree with Trump. I do not think at all that he's going to be the greatest president ever. I just think that he was the better candidate in putting the economy first, which our country needs because inflation has been horrible in the past 4 years. I mean, I know COVID has a lot to do with that, but Biden wasn't really helping at all.
He was actually helping a lot.
Well, anyways,
I could give you an argument if you'd like to know how.
Yeah, how did Biden help that then?
Well, let's first understand like why inflation was so high and other economic issues. Inflation was like terribly fucking high because we had to pump trillions of dollars into our economy under both Biden and Harris and Donald Trump and Pence to give money to people that needed it to live, to help prop up the and as well as to help prop up the economy to prevent a recession, not to mention supply chain issues caused by the pandemic that prevented shipments from getting to point A to point B, meaning that supply was limited and demand was high, so prices went up. All right. But the reason I say that Biden and Harris managed this very well was because their response to this was to say, okay, well, we're nearing a recession and supply of goods is in very limited demand. So my response to this is going to be to push $1 trillion infrastructure bill through Congress to just create jobs out of thin air to spawn them in so we could have more people making more money, feeling more confident in the market, and then they'll go out there to spend it. What happened was the Biden-Harris administration therefore prevented a recession. Okay, and then also on the manufacturing end, they're like, we need more goods manufactured here because of the supply chain issues. So we're going to focus on investment into manufacturing to prop up American industries through things such as the infrastructure bill, as I've already mentioned, or the Chips and Science Act. And in combination of all of these policies, what we saw was that the U.S. had the quickest rebound from the inflation onset by COVID and the negative GDP growth onset by COVID out of any other country in the G7. Right? Responded better than any other world leadership and the big players.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say you're wrong on anything about that. I haven't really been huge into politics besides in the past like about a year because I'm only 19. Yeah. I didn't really care too much about politics before I turned 18 and actually cared about voting. And I won't lie, I was raised very conservative, and I would say compared to my parents, I would say I'm definitely a moderate independent.
If I know anything about conservative parents, I don't doubt you, dude. I have some conservative parents of my own. But I don't know, man. It's worth putting like your time into researching because politics really do matter. Honestly, like the more I've been invested into politics, the more I've come to understand, acknowledge, and come to terms with it. Nearly like everything is political, and like I know that what I'm about to say like may sound like crazy to you because you might hear this terminology a lot from the left and kind of just brush it off as like crazy leftists and their antics. But a big reason why like probably both you and I kind of grew up in that environment is because like we're white guys, okay? I'm gonna and the thing is
Yeah.
our government has never really hyperfixated us on a sense to serve damage to us, but it has for a lot of other people that aren't white guys like us. And the more I've learned and the more I've explored, the more I learned that so many things are political. You know, like I
Yeah.
had these friends in high school. They were a lesbian couple, very cool people, and I mean that started to open up my eyes to how fucking political who you're attracted to is if you're not straight. Like all the fucking sudden, if your sexual orientation differs from being straight, well then all of a sudden like half of our country hates you. We have people in Congress that
I
want
think
to.
that's wrong because myself, I actually have a boyfriend. I'm gay.
Oh, so you want so yeah, you'd understand like this sense of how politics can play such a large role into like facts of one's identity, and how severely important it is to be educated on these issues. And I feel like this may be like a really strong proponent to maybe like go out there and educate yourself more on maybe like the economic side of things. But
Yeah. One thing I was going to say is one reason that I don't want to align myself with the left or even the right, but more so the left is because almost every very leftist or liberal treats someone that doesn't agree with them like they're just a piece of shit, like they don't know anything, like they call you a bigot, a racist, fascist, blah 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 blah, which in reality is not true. I know several Trump supporters, conservatives that are very nice people, very kind people, but to sit there and call them a racist and stuff like that, that's just wrong to me, and that's why I don't want to align myself with like the left people.
okay, I am like being probably the best faith and most honest I have ever been in what I'm about to say. I agree that there is extremists amongst the left that uphold a sense of purity culture um, to a very significant degree. But I think that you're going to find individuals with very fringe beliefs on both the left and the right, but those beliefs are significantly more damaging on the right. And the vast, vast, vast majority of people on the left are not pro cancel culture for the smallest thing fucking ever. Call anybody that disagrees with you politically a fascist, racist. I think the reason why you see strong sentiments and individuals on the left labeling people on the right as fascists or racists, et cetera, is because it's true. And I've talked to a shit ton of Republicans that voted for Trump in my time. I talked to maybe over 50 a day. And I will undeniably say every single day I talk to so many full stop blatant racists, especially on the topic of immigration. It is unreal. I mean, you seriously have to watch some of my conversations about immigration. I talk to full stop blatant misogynists, full stop blatant people that are in support of fascism, authoritarianism. I mean, look at the growing denomination of people in Maga that now support Trump running for a third term. I think that's important to consider and maybe look at the reasons why people on the left may label individuals on the right as fascist, racist, etc. And I'm sure that you'll find a few fringe cases where it is unwarranted. But a lot of the times you might be able to conclude with the use of reason and fact that it might just be true.
Yeah, so I do agree with you in that, and I don't know. Just one more thing that I wanted to say is why I support Trump is yes, we are having the stock market crash right now. Yes, but at the same time, inflation is the lowest it's been since. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think 2021.
I
It's
mean,
at like 1.9 or something like that.
I don't know the data, but I'd believe it.
Yeah.
Like if you were to tell me that the macro level of inflation right now is low, I'd believe it. And I can tell you why. It's because when we're barreling towards a recession, people are spending less money because they're not confident in the market. But that means that there's less demand for goods, which reduces the rate of inflation. Now, that's not true in all scenarios, but I would say if we see any indicators of quick, sharp drops in inflation right now, it's because our economy is unstable and barreling towards a recession.
Yeah. I'm
But
sorry, my throat's
apparently, the
getting
current
dry.
rate of inflation is 3.3%.
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers on the inflation and stuff. I've just seen like facts that inflation is low right now, and maybe it is because people are not spending as much money. But I was also going to state that there are several companies that have been moving back to America for manufacturing.
Like who?
Says right here, I have it pulled up. Apple, General Motors, Boeing, Ford, Intel, Dow Chemical, General Electric, and Whirlpool.
I don't know where you're getting your list from. As far as like Apple goes, I'm pretty sure that whoever made the list that you're discussing is very bad faith. Because I know what they're referencing about Apple. They're referencing an announcement of like a $400 billion investment into their company, and this came after Trump's inauguration. They've done the same thing after Biden's inauguration and after Trump's first inauguration, and they've never pulled it through on it. I know that Boeing has been here, and then Intel. Well, we see that chip production facilities have been getting built across our country because of the Chips and Science Act from the Biden-Harris administration. And Apple will never manufacture iPhones in America because if they did, they would cost $3,500. But what I will say is 99% of companies are not going to move their manufacturing to America as a result of Trump's tariffs. The reason why is because A, there's a bipartisan push against his tariffs right now from Democrats and Republicans in Congress. What this tells big companies is that whoever wins the next election in 2028, they're going to strike down those tariffs day one. All right. So they're very temporary. They're not going to be here forever. The second reason is because of how expensive it is to move manufacturing to America, billions of dollars. And the third reason is because of how much time it takes, okay, which is 3 to 5 years. So they'd have to invest billions of dollars, and they'd only get them up and running after the tariffs will be likely rescinded by the next president.
Well, one of the main reasons a lot of these American companies are in other countries is because of cheap labor. They can produce their products cheaper in other countries.
So that's one of the reasons. But I mean, not all the time. Like, we're very reliant on lumber produced in Canada, even though Canada has a higher minimum wage than America, because they just simply have better infrastructure and more productive capacities to produce the goods. And that's just because of like competitive advantage and like
So I
access to
do have a
natural
question.
resources.
Would you disagree that it would be good for America for more American companies to move back to America? Because I'm pretty sure there's like 70,000 old warehouses, or not warehouses, like factories that are just shut down and not in use at all. And a lot of these companies can move to those factories and renew them and start manufacturing in America.
It depends. It actually depends. Like, for instance, it is not good for America to have like lumber producers move from Canada or whatever the hell to America to start making lumber here, because it's going to be less productive output and production than what would be experienced in Canada. Then all of a sudden our lumber is going to cost more, and the price of new houses is going to go up. Not only because the raw materials cost more, but also because they're building less. Okay, so it's not always a good thing. Sometimes inefficiencies can be produced by higher levels of productions of goods, specifically when we're forcing that higher level productions with a force such as tariffs. But like, obviously, when I'd say the free market allows for it, it's a good thing. And I think the best thing that we should be doing as America to kind of bump our manufacturing is to probably subsidize corporate America, give them money, and then force them to spend that money on paying their employees more, while decreasing the price of their goods. So we're basically just artificially bumping up their output while keeping a higher quality of life for the workers. But then, like, another flip side of this coin here that no one really ever discussed, but it's so important, is immigration. Okay, one thing we could do right now to scale the productive output of America is allow for more immigration into America and
Legal immigration.
naturalize all undocumented migrants who have not committed a violent crime as a resident or a citizen to continue to partake in our labor force compared to deporting them all. And I feel like that is a great plan that would really help place American industries first by increasing the size of our productive output, by making our labor force
I
larger.
do agree with you.
And that's a completely leftist position.
I think my stance on immigration is I do think that people should come into the country legally, not illegally.
Okay.
But also, I think our government should put in place a better system to become a legal citizen, because
That's my take.
it takes like what 6 months at least to be like through the process, or
Try
6 years or
Try
something.
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. That's what I meant. But I do think that if they shortened that process and made it better, that I would be all for more immigration to the country. I don't know. I just don't think we should have as much illegal immigration as we do.
Okay. Well, I agree that we need to get to a point where there's no undocumented entry into America. I think the best way to get there is to first acknowledge what causes undocumented entry, which is neglected, depraved, slow, expensive legal means of entry. We fix the problem of undocumented entry into America by expediting the legal means of entry, providing residency or citizenship in a very quick manner to anybody that wants it that doesn't have prior violent offenses. And then, for the undocumented migrants that are already in America, simply offer them that same path, okay? We don't need to deport them, okay? We don't need to strip people away from their family. We don't need to cripple American industries by ripping millions of laborers out of the labor force. We just simply offer them that same fast-tracked, expedited path to residency or citizenship.
I would agree with you in that.
And
I think we should do fact checks and checks, background checks on these people to see if they are, part of MS-13 or stuff like that.
I'm fine with that.
They absolutely should be deported. But if they're just people seeking a better life, I think rather than deporting them, we should, just not send them to a camp, so to say, but put them in like a good facility or something until they can pass the course to become like a citizen. Then they can go back out.
I think
kind of worded that wrong. I don't really know.
I don't think that we should be placing people in detention camps. I don't really see
that's why I said
that.
That's why I was saying I don't know. I kind of worded it wrong, badly.
Why would we need to place them in facilities?
Well, just to make sure they are doing it,
Oh wait, dude, I don't even think we need to do that, okay? Because if you're just saying we need to place them in facilities to make sure that they're seeking residency or citizenship, there is not a single undocumented migrant in America that likely wants to be an undocumented migrant in America. Like, we do understand that when you're an undocumented migrant, you can't work with a bank, you can't get a loan, you can't get a driver's license.
You have to get paid under the table.
No, you don't have to. You could work it as an ITI employee off of a W-2, get paid over the table. But there's a shit ton of benefits to citizenship or residency that undocumented migrants want. So I think if we were just to offer this expedited fast track to residency or citizenship to all undocumented migrants in America that have not committed violent crimes, that essentially every undocumented migrant in America will be first in line to get it. And no type of detention camps would be necessary.
Yeah. I don't know. Just to end off talking to you, I think my stance on it all is that every day I'm starting to lose the hope that I have in Trump, but also I do still have hope that the plans and stuff that he's putting in place will better our economy. I do hope that.
I'm pretty sure the only thing that's going to prove that wrong to you is time, man. Because, I feel like I've disputed those positions. I don't think that you've been willing to hear it out. So I feel like the last thing for you to experience is the passing of time under the Donald Trump administration. And hopefully there will be a huge shift left in 2026 and 2028 because people will wake up and realize that that is a false belief that is only built by years and years and years of over $1 billion worth of propaganda pushed by the right.
All right. Thank you for putting me on and talking to me, Dean. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you for having a significantly more respectful conversation with me than most. Have a good rest of your day, man.
Appreciate it, man. You too.
All right, you guys. Well, we get a couple people to thank for donations here. Francisco, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. Francisco says, please get into politics ASAP. You are the future. We need leaders like you. I know I will be voting for you in the future. Well, I appreciate you, Francisco. I don't really know what my future is going to look like. I think I'm just going to let it play out one day at a time and see where I land, see where I end up. But I do appreciate you for the $5. Then also Stephanie, thank you for the $25 on Venmo saying thank you. I appreciate you, Stephanie. Thank you. And then Joseph with a 5 and Jared with a 5. You guys are all phenomenal. Thank you, everyone, so much for your support over on Venmo. Now let's go ahead and move on to PayPal. Pinpoint, thank you so much for the $20 donation. W Pinpoint down below in that chat. Pinpoint says, I'd like to personally thank the Don for giving the world agricultural community a horrible opinion of the U.S. Guessing that's ironic, and I do appreciate you for the love. Yeah, the Don's really fucking a lot up right now. Let's see what else is in here. Let's see. Anissa, thank you so much for the $35 over on PayPal. Thank you for the love. That is ANEESAH. The $35 saying, Dean, I love watching your debates. You educate everyone you debate and everyone watching. I love that. Get something good to eat for dinner. Thank you so much. I'm kind of feeling steak tonight. I might do it. I might do steak. Thank you for the love. And then Erica with the $5 and Matt with the $5. Matt says, just being amazing. You teach me so much. I appreciate you for the love, Matt. I love you all. You guys are all incredible. For the 7.8 thousand people watching on TikTok, if today was your first day tuning in to one of these streams, we do these every day, so make sure to hit that follow button. And then just a couple more donations over here on YouTube. Katrina, thank you for the $5. Kayla with the $5. Traceless with a 10. And then Bella with the 31 Australian dollars. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry, just responding to texts. All right, we're going to go ahead and do one last discussion here before we end for the night. So let's go to get them up. Traceless, thank you for the $10 over on Super Chat. And then Traceless with another 10. You guys are awesome. All right, we're going to do our last conversation of the night. Hopefully it's going to be a short one. I'm probably only going to spend about another 5-10 minutes debating here. So let's just see if we could have a short conversation before we hop off. By the way, W3 million likes. Holy crap, that's insane. Oh, by the way, the TikTok ban got another 75-day extension. Did you guys see that? Dude, Trump is aura farming. That's all that he's doing. He's pushing that off to aura farm. He's just like, I know I'm making a bunch of terrible decisions, but if I just like keep, extending this ban at times where people don't like me, they'll like me a little bit more. Yeah, TikTok is always getting banned. Yeah, isn't it funny how just no one gave a fuck about the ban this time around? This is the first time I've spoken about the ban, and it was supposed to get banned tomorrow. I didn't really care. I thought it wasn't going to get banned, then even if it was essentially my thoughts were, oh well, like I've already gone through, the turmoil of the ban. I'm just going to kind of let it happen. Kelly, thank you for the $15 donation on Venmo saying you're way smarter than I was at your age, kid. Hope to see you on the FY pod. What is that? What is the FY pod? I'll have to check that out. But thank you for the $15, Kelly, as well as the incredibly kind compliment. You are awesome. All right. Well, let's see if we can get a last guest up in. Honestly, if we can, I'm going to end because I do really have to use the restroom. Not going to lie. I do really have to use the restroom. Try to get J Money up here. All right. J Money is not loading in. All right. Here's actually what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and end on TikTok, but I'm going to stay live on YouTube because I'm about to throw up a YouTube video and I really want to test out to see what happens if I just send like thousands of people to like it the moment I throw it up. So everybody, if you want to like help me run a cool experiment real quick, head over to the YouTube. You could find that in the link tree in the bio. I also just like genuinely want to see how many people we could get in there. So everyone just head over to the YouTube account, link in the link tree in the bio. You could also find it just by searching up Dean Withers on YouTube. You'll find the account. But I love you guys. I appreciate everyone for joining in on TikTok today. Make sure to follow before you head out. Today was actually a really good fucking day. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, love you guys so much. And yeah, head over to the YouTube. Peace and love.